An unprecedented decision in Trump's New York City trial, as he is found guilty on all 34 counts against him. Fox News' Eric Shawn is live outside of Lower Manhattan Courthouse right now with the very latest. Eric, good morning.
Hi, Maria. Good morning. Well, it ain't over. Former President Trump has vowed he will appeal the verdict.
We didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man, and it's okay. I'm fighting for our country. I'm fighting for our Constitution. Our whole country is being rigged right now.
Now that he's a convicted felon, but the former president's defense will likely challenge the jury's decision, citing a variety of trial issues. You know, his lawyers have already claimed that pretrial publicity made it impossible for him to get a fair trial in Manhattan. They also have faulted Judge Juan Merchan for not recusing himself for what they say is a conflict of interest. Merchan donated $15 to President Biden's campaign in 2016, and his daughter works for a Democratic political campaign firm. But the New York State Commission on Judicial Ethics has already ruled the judge had no conflict.
The 12 everyday jurors vowed to make a decision based on the evidence and the law, and the evidence and the law alone. Their deliberations led them to a unanimous conclusion beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant, Donald J. Trump, is guilty of 34 counts of falsifying business records in the first degree to conceal a scheme to corrupt the 2016 election.
The convictions came just hours after the jury asked for testimony from National Enquirer publisher David Pecker and Michael Cohen, who both said Trump, at an August 2015 meeting at Trump Tower, put the illegal scheme into motion. The jury saw the Trump documents and Cohen's bank statement that prosecutors said proved Cohen was reimbursed for paying Stormy Daniels, so she would keep silent and not damage Trump's White House bid. And they saw the checks Trump signed, falsely classified as Cohen's legal retainers, when Trump was actually paying Cohen back. And despite his history of previously lying under oath, the jury, it seems, did believe Michael Cohen. After the verdict, Cohen told Fox, quote, "Today is an important day for accountability and the rule of law. While it has been a difficult journey for me and my family," he said, "the truth always matters." Well, sentencing for the former president is now set for July 11th at 10 a.m. His lawyers, under the law, have to wait until then to officially file their notice of appeal. We will likely see that at that time. Maria?
All right, Eric, thanks very much. Eric Shawn in downtown Manhattan. Cheryl, your reaction?
Well, all of this now goes to the appeal process. We've got the sentencing, of course, as Eric just mentioned. But, you know, the Journal wrote a very big, deep dive in the editorial section, and this is from the editorial board, called "A Guilty Verdict for Trump and Its Consequences for the Country." One thing they make a very good point about is going to be the appeal process. And they say this: Judge Merchan tolerated Mr. Bragg's legal creativity in ways that an appeals court might not. What if Mr. Trump loses the election and then he's vindicated on appeal? What if that happens? If Democrats think that too many Republicans today complain about stolen elections, imagine how many more might next year. So all of this, again, the appeal is one issue, but the election, I think, is the bigger story here. And voters are going to have their say in November.
Yeah, I want to see the latest polls after the verdict was released, Joe. I want to see because we've got a lot of polls that show people saying, I will vote for Trump if he's convicted. I think it will mean more to me to get Trump in there if he's convicted. But I haven't seen something after this came down. Have you, Joe?
No, certainly nothing could have been polled between last night and today. But certainly anecdotally, from what we've seen on social media, people seem to be really willing to stick their neck out and say that this doesn't matter for them. That jives with the poll numbers that we saw from that Marist, from that NPR poll just a few days ago, where most people said this is not going to affect him, and many said this would actually make him more likely to vote for him. One other point, though, that's really been unsaid in all the coverage since last night is that this trial, the gag order specifically, which was one of the most controversial things, had the ironic impact on making Trump come out and be some of the best campaign moments we've seen of his presidency. The gag order made him actually not talk about the problems in court as much as he normally would, and it forced him to go into unfavorable locations like the Bronx, like New Jersey, and talk to voters about the economic problems of the Biden presidency. It's no surprise that that worked, and we saw a massive surge in the polls. I'm a little concerned as a Trump supporter that now with this gag order removed, it's over, and sort of the bad taste in everyone's mouth from this verdict, I'm concerned that Trump is going to spend too much time focusing on relitigating this case and not enough time doing what he did for the past few weeks, which has worked tremendously and brought him a whole bunch of new voters.
Yeah, and I think he's basically changing the game in the campaign season by going to all of those bright blue areas, you know, South Bronx, New Jersey, Minnesota. And I think that the Democrats are in some cases desperate because they see the kind of reception that he's getting in those bright blue places, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, we heard from people on the street in the Bronx, like you pointed out in Minnesota. People are affected by the Biden economic failures more than they are anything that's happening in some Manhattan courtroom where the verdict was sort of predisposed from the beginning. So if you ask people what they care about, it isn't Alvin Bragg. It's more about their pocketbooks, their wallets, and their future for their kids.
Yeah, but don't forget, this whole thing, this trial, this attack on President Trump from day one has given the media reason to cover that. Instead of focus on the issues that are important to American citizens, like inflation, like the two wars, foreign policy that has gone, you know, out of control.